there. Do you struggle with having faith, or perhaps you're atheistic or agnostic and you feel there is no soul or anything spiritual beyond the physical world that you're witnessing? My name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is being one. Sahasrara, the crown chakra, deals with the I am that I am. It deals with communion, unification, at-one-ment, atonement, or the awareness that I and the divine, I and the Father are one. There are many different ways that's been stated throughout many different faith traditions, but it's an awakening and an awareness that there is something wholly larger, not only than having an individual soul, which is larger than the construct or concept. It's metaphysical, beyond the physical construct of a physical world. It is having a divine essence, a divine energy, a source energy that is available to pour into the vessel and connect. And so Sahasrara, just like Muladhara, or the root chakra, can be a rose blooming into the earth. This is often a lotus blossom blooming on top of the head. There are variations of indigo and violet, or purple and indigo, that are often flipped between the brow and Sahasrara, the crown. However, Sahasrara to me is always kind of more of a magenta pinkish purple, and it looks like a lotus bloom that sits on top of the head and can also be described that way as a kind of magenta or pinkish purple. Sahasrara is going to connect one to one's divinity. So for those people that are super physically developed, super earth-based elemental is what I would call them, they want proof, they want accolades, they want to see it in the microscope, they need to see it. They may have their lower chakras much more developed because they're much more earth-based. I'm here at Earth, I need the proof, I want to see it, and I get it. Heather is constantly working to develop those, so good on you, maybe more like you in that way. Sometimes though, when we're overdeveloped in the physical, we lose sight of the spiritual channel. Sometimes when our left hemisphere and our logic-centered side of the brain is overdeveloped and we haven't accessed the right hemisphere or the more creative components of how one can imagine realities into being, we might not have access to anything but the box of our current thinking. And so we would need to awaken the spiritual chakras, awaken the throat, awaken one's self-expression. What types of self-expression are available? Awaken one's psychic sight by actually seeing the things that are available beyond our world, by doing the activation of the clear senses work that can help one to see beyond what these peepers can see. And so also one can activate the crown. So you can do the individual work to look for a soul. You can do the individual work of following the spiritual studies that have been available at Earth School for as long as two-leggeds have been available. You can also activate your crown chakra. When these centers are not activated, when they are not in alignment, a being can feel very right about the fact that there is not a spirit, there is not a soul. And so I always see kind of spirit as a pyramid. At the base of the pyramid is our conscious awareness, our beta consciousness. We use it to have conversations. As beta goes from a frequency of 14 closer to 40 hertz, moving towards gamma consciousness or gamma brain waves, we get higher stress, higher anxiety, right? And so at the base of the pyramid, we have our conscious awareness, which you're using to receive this. Heather's using it to speak it into the world. And it is connected to the physical body. It's connected to the earth. It's connected to proof. It's kind of like the lower chakras of the body. It's connected to grounding and reality. Is a word people love to throw around, even though they can't prove that this is a dream. But so as you start to move up the pyramid, the center of the pyramid deals more with subconscious mind substance. It is connected to the body. It is connected to the conscious awareness, but it comes through in dreams. It comes through in gut instinct or intuitive promptings, or awakening the clear senses, getting to have a greater vision and a sight of something beyond what is handed on paper and can be proved. And then the tip of the pyramid is the I am that I am. I am that I am. I and the Father are one not only means that I am one with divinity, but I am one with all of creation because I am one with the Creator, and the Creator is connected to that which He has created. And so understanding that unification is a very different place to walk. Heather fails herself. I go to work sometimes and behave in ways that it's like, okay, you're being irritable or you're not, My aim is to be agape, to be unconditional love, because I understand for myself that I am at all times the tip of the pyramid as much as I am the middle and the base. And I would prefer to have a clearer view of the entire pyramid, which is to stand at the top and understand I am that I am. We are all kin. I am shoulder to shoulder with the creative principle of the children of something that is so intelligent. It created sacred geometry, the Fibonacci sequence. It put mathematics back of the entire design. And the most intelligent thing I've ever experienced in all my breaths is love. It's the most intelligent thing I've ever seen myself do. It's the most intelligent thing I've ever witnessed another human do. It's not judge, it's not criticize, it's not ride around on your high horse and you're a jerk and here's why I don't like what you're doing. It's not that. It's where you stand in a space of I am you. You and I are one. And we know this to be true scientifically. Everything in all of cosmology is made of atoms. You have only ever stared at atoms. Atoms are made of more than 99.999% emptiness. If we but round up, we're not here. But you stare all day into emptiness. Every time you look in the mirror, you are staring into emptiness. And how are you describing it? And how are you labeling it? And how are you being with it? And it's okay. And it's perfectly acceptable. And there's no reason to judge if you're at the tip of the pyramid looking down any being that has chosen to not connect to the spiritual or not connect to the tip of the pyramid, because we are not dictators and commanders of other people's ships. We are at all times commanding a ship that's moving through the sea of life. And how are we moving that ship? And so Heather Feather is constantly working to give the self grace, give myself permission to recognize I'm also at the base of the pyramid. I'm also in a body and playing body. I'm using this sack of emptiness to pretend Heather Feather right now. And it's a temporary game. But let me remember that I'm human. So I have to constantly work on allowing myself my humanity, allowing myself my failings, because I expect myself to be the love of God in form every day. And that's tricky. That's tricky. If you're going to be the love of God, then everything you say and do is going to honor all beings. You're not talking about people behind their back. That's separatist. That's not you and I are one. What you give to another, what you speak of another, is always indicative to me of how you really feel about yourself. People that are bullies, people that are abusive, they're bullies to themselves. And that's tragic. But my job is to not get attached. If somebody's going to be aggressive, abrasive, abusive, my job is to say, get out of my life, okay? And I bless you away from me. And when I think of you, I will only think of you as being blessed and loving yourself. But I'm not going to do this face to face. So being loving and being agape and being unconditionally loving and being connected to the spiritual self does not mean you are superior, does not mean you are better than, does not mean you know the path, the way, and the light, because we're all just telling stories about what this emptiness is. It does mean, though, that you behave as something that is more singular in its understanding, something that is an absolute truth. An example of an absolute truth that Heather teaches often is love is. As soon as we start putting descriptors on the tail end of that is, we have limited love and we've lost the absolute truth. And so for me, it's about always coming back into being by embodying my spiritual understanding of our communion, our connectivity, our kinship, and our oneness, and being in the garden of creation together, standing in this sacred geometry and walking around in it. Isn't that fun? And so I want to keep my connection to that divine light wide open. And these chakras tend to be very open and clear for me. I see too much and often have to okay, too much other. You need to look psychically at the world all the time. It's too many feelings. And it is also okay to keep them to where they are seeing and looking and connecting to something beyond all the papers in your house with their little certifications. So today you can see a crack in the earth underneath you with a vacuum pulling anything out of your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual system, sexual system that your body no longer needs, going into the earth's core and feeding the earth energy that she can use for anything she sees fit. And as you clear, cleanse, and purify the vessel, you begin to awaken a magenta, pinkish purple light onto the crown of your head, the I am that I am. Opening and blooming a lotus bloom on top of the head, the Sahasrara. Awakening to the divine principle that's always been present in the paradigm, just as love and the wind do not come before your eyes in a manner in which you can see. Divinity is always present in the field as well. And you can open it up by writing in light here, I am that I am, that one might remember their communion, their connection to the all that is, because we are all, in the end, one. You can always subscribe on YouTube. Amun.